Buenas noches, mi amigos. Here we are. The lads are arriving at the Bernabeu Stadium as that is the venue for tonight's second leg against Spanish giants Real Madrid, fresh from them winning the La Liga title. Of course, this is our third semi-final in the club's history, and 90 minutes of football against these European juggernauts awaits and stands in our way from that final in Paris. Now, despite winning the first leg, I know some City fans were hoping for a bit of a bigger margin, but nonetheless, we take a one-goal advantage with the current score and aggregate standing at 4-3. And we had good form last time we were here. If you remember, it was the last 16, and we won 2-1. Goals from Gabriel Jesus and Kevin De Bruyne after going 1-0 down is what took us through that competition. And I can tell you, an exclusive Kevin De Bruyne and Gabriel Jesus start. Don't forget as well, a draw or a win is enough to take us through into that final and set up an all-English final against Liverpool in Paris on the 28th of May. The boys are arriving, and we have arrived. A very good evening. My name is Cel Spellman. Welcome to Matchday Live, or should I say welcome to the brand new home of Matchday Live. We have got a brand new, beautiful state-of-the-art studio, and safe to say, I've been so excited to get this show underway. Gents, just a quick word on our new home.
It's not bad at all. Is this part of your demands to get this?
Well, listen, you know, I keep everyone in check.
He has changed.
I work away behind the scenes.
Yeah, this is very nice.
Superb.
It's brilliant to be here, to be honest.
It's the perfect setting for what awaits, isn't it?
It's not like Manchester City to get something right once again. Standards, innit? Standards.
Nedum and Trevor Sinclair are my esteemed guests for tonight's show. Of course, we're going to bring you all the action to build up to our game against Real Madrid. But first things first, let's get into it. What is our starting 11? I can bring you that now. It looks like this. Close. There we go. OK, let's take a ganders. Here we go. Ederson starts in goal. That is a name I think we're all hoping to see behind him. Kyle Walker returns to the starting 11 after his injury. Ruben Diaz captains our side alongside Aymeric Laporte in the centre of defence. Cancelo moves in at left back. It is a middle three. We think of Rodrigo, Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva. And a forward three of Mahrez, Foden and Jesus. They are the same six, of course, that started in that first leg at the Etihad Stadium. On the bench, we have Zach Stefan, Scott Carson, Nathan Ake, Raheem Sterling, Ilkay Gundogan, Jack Grealish, Oli Zinchenko, Fernandinho, CJ Egan-Riley, Cole Palmer and James McAtee. Nedum, I'll come to you first. Kyle Walker coming back into the fold. How important is that to you?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think when you saw the sort of threat that Vinicius had, if you could think of one player in the whole team that would be quite equipped to be able to deal with that, it is Kyle Walker. So it's good to see him back to something like full health. It's going to be a great challenge for him, but he's someone like, you know, we rely on him, we trust him because he's so good.
Yeah.
And I think as well, he'll probably get forward to sort of aid that side of the game as well. And I think for Vinicius, going up against him is going to be a very, very tough task. Because I think in the last game, you know, I think John Stones did well considering he wasn't fully fit. I think Fernandinho did well considering he's not a right back. But Kyle Walker's a right back and he's a fantastic right back at that. And I think when you see that back there, it gives you that little bit of comfort.
I thought Zinchenko, Trev, did a great job as well at left back, but of course Cancelo was suspended. I mean, it was, I think, written on the cards that he was going to come back into the fold. He's been so effective down that left-hand side, and I think, you know, actually, I wonder how do you think he's going to come up? I can tell you it's Rodrigo has dropped to the bench with a slight injury, so Valverde, I think, is going to be on that side. How can you see him doing on the defensive side of the game at left?
Well, I think when you look at his overall game, I think the defensive side is where he could probably do a little bit better and needs to work on. It's about getting players around him, delaying, not diving in. All the simple fundamentals of defending. And I think if he can do that better, we know what he's got, the qualities and the class that he's got going forward. He joins in, he's got great technique, he's got assists in him, he's got goals in him. So going forward is not a problem. He's just got to make sure that we start the game a little bit reserved, make sure we keep the ball, but when we're not in possession of the ball, make sure he gets his positioning right. Good communication with his other defenders and midfielders, and I think he should be able to cope with the game quite well.
I mean, usually we're awaiting for, you know, a Pep special, a Pep surprise, but he has kind of more or less gone with, I think, the team most people were hoping for. It's the same six that started in that first leg.
Bizarre.
I mean,
like
everybody
anticipated this kind of lineup. Obviously, we weren't sure whether Kyle Walker was going to be 100% fit and whether he was going to be able to start the game. He obviously is, but I mean, there still could be a spanner. You could put Foden on the left and put Mahrez on the right just to confuse us. But it does look like the anticipated side that most people thought. And they did so well as well, you know, last week. The performance that they had against Real Madrid, it doesn't surprise me.
I think that's the bit there which he's alluding to. Like, they did so well against Madrid last time with this sort of setup. So going into it, like, are Madrid going to be making defensive adjustments? Well, no, they're not, because they're like the champions of La Liga. Yeah. They're a front foot side. They're not going to say, well, we're just going to sit back in, because they have to go out and win the game. So I think for the players that he has now, this sort of balance, like, they'll defend well, but they all know how to attack, and the chances they can create, like, it's the perfect system for this particular game. And so we're sort of worried, will Pep do this well, will Pep do that? As was the case with all of us. For once, we're all on the same page, because last week, they literally tore them apart.
Well, that's been sometimes, and I'm never me, but there has sometimes been the odd criticism shown, never at Pep though, but thrown at Pep for him tinkering. And do you think maybe there is a little bit of him, he's maybe seen the error of his ways?
No, well, so, to be fair, I know it's not you. Like, at the end of the day, I think some of the stuff that he does, it's a bigger criticism when it doesn't work. But the fact is, for the way that he does things, he changes 3-4 players pretty much every single week. And I think we're used to seeing a particular system now. And, you know, whatever team they put out, like, you could see Foden playing in the 8, you could see him on the left wing, you could see him on the right wing, you could see him through the middle.
They're all multi-players, aren't they? Multi-positional players. So even if you put a lineup where you think, right, that's the shape they're playing, you could completely change it.
Yeah,
they might completely play in a different formation. I hope they play the same, because like Nedum just said, you know, the way we pressed, I think we were too mobile, too aggressive on the front foot. We forced them into the long ball in that opening half an hour, and it was just easy. It was for the centre half, heading it down. We were picking up second balls and then starting like patterns of play again. So that game plan works. They have to do something different. I'm not sure what that's going to be. Casemiro's in the side, so maybe they'll have a bit more rotation to try and get on the ball, work harder to make them angles and play through the lines. But if City stick to their task and lock on and do the job that we know they can do and that they did in that opening half an hour last week, they've got a great chance of replicating the performance.
I think with Pep, like, mistakes have happened in the past, but like managers make mistakes all around. You know, just for City, the nature of the games they play at this stage of the season, all the sort of criticisms amplified. And, you know, people would have loved to have seen Fernandinho playing, you know, as the 6 in the Champions League final last year. But again, there's no guarantee they would have won as well. You know what I mean? But when he makes a change and it doesn't work out, we say, well, that's the reason why. But I think in some ways that shows how good they are and how high the standard is. And to even go back to the start of the show, something which, like, it doesn't come naturally to me. Like, City are great. And this is the 3rd semi-final they've been to. That's it. It's the 3rd.
Crazy.
You know what I mean? In my mind, it feels like, we're back here again, we're doing this again, and so on and so forth. But the fact is, like, all this stuff's new. You know, we're still getting a feel for all this. And they're just such a fantastic side. You hope they're rewarded with a place in the final, and you hope they're rewarded with a chance to be able to redeem, say, some of the performances that came last year.
Oh, Nedum, so do I, honestly. I've been so nervous all day, I'm sure, like most City fans. I wondered, though, as well, you know, given, obviously, we had the first game at the Etihad, now, going to face Real Madrid at the Bernabeu, and yes, teams have scored goals, but they do have this prestige, and they have the experience in this competition that has definitely seen them through, I think. Will there be a different approach from City, you know, just within settling into the game, or will it be like Pep has said, and he set out with Sterling and said, we're going to go to win the game? How can you see the game playing out? What will be City's game plan, or do you think we'll just have to come out quick?
Well, I think if we want to dictate play, because that's the best way of defending anyway. That's Pep's philosophy. So we'll try and keep the ball when we have it. And when it breaks down, I think you'll have to look at last week's game. I think you have to, because if you sit off a team like Real Madrid with the quality they've got in midfield and the experience they've got in midfield, I think that's very dangerous. I think if you keep it high tempo, we've got younger players, we've got more mobile players. You know, we play at a higher intensity in this country because of the weather mainly, but because we have got that intensity within this group. And the best games that Manchester City play is when they keep the ball, have an attack. When they lose the ball, they're at it like piranhas. None of them are massive. They're all quite small, but they're tenacious. They get about you, and I don't think Real Madrid players could handle that intensity. Now, if it's not broke, why fix it? Go with exactly the same game plan, get all over them, and keep that intensity high, because they are older than us, and I don't think they'll be able to handle it.
Oh, lovely stuff. All right, gents, we've got off to a flying start, and the flying start carries on flying, because we are now going to head over to the Bernabeu, and I believe, well, Natalie and Paul, they've been there, seeing how things have been building up in Madrid, and then, of course, at the stadium. How have you guys been getting on in Madrid?
Welcome to Match Day Live. We are pitchside at the Bernabeu for City's second leg of the Champions League semi-final as we take on Real Madrid. Of course, course, City won the first leg last week, 4-3, so we are coming into this game with an advantage. I'm Natalie Pike, and of course I'm joined by the legend that is Paula Dickov. Paul Dickov, who has been a lot more confident and calm than I have all day long.
Obviously.
Are you still confident and calm?
Yeah, it's not hard to be not more confident, is it? But no, looking forward to it. Atmosphere's absolutely brilliant here. Fans haven't moved in yet. Seen some of the things that I've seen already. But yeah, we were at 4-3 last week. I think it's going to be a lot more goals to City again.
Do you think there'll be a similar type of game where it's quite end-to-end and quite non-stop?
I do, because Real Madrid could be one goal too good. They've got to come out and they've got to get after us. Otherwise, a draw's not good for them. Once they start doing that, they've got the players in the team that can pick them off. There's going to be a lot of goals.
So we are confident, pitch side at the Bernabeu. We hope you are confident in the studio and at home. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Nat and Paul. Well, I'll put it to my guests. How are you feeling? Are you confident, Nedum?
Do you know what? Like, if you're an older type City fan, like, you want to be confident. You understand everything that's going on, but there's just like just a little hint of pessimism that always wants to ruin your day. But the team's incredible. You know, if they play anywhere near their best, I fancy them to beat anybody on planet Earth. So the reality is, every time I watch them, I just watch them hoping that they execute that. And if they do, like, it could be, well, I'm not going to say it's going to be comfortable, but it's going to be one of those games where you look back and say, yeah, they definitely deserve to get to the final.
Well, I think Kev was asked about it in his pre-match conference, and he said, and asked about this last 16 tie when we won 2-1, and he said, yeah, we were good then, he said, but this team now has evolved since then, and we're playing even better than we have done. So I guess that in itself, if you kind of have beat them already, and they're a little bit older and haven't improved as much, you know, that's surely got to kind of galvanise us and think, oh, we can do this.
I think so, and I think we were talking about it off air. I think the fact that they got to the final last year, you know, we put PSG to bed. It was a fantastic performance at the Etihad. The adulation and the feeling amongst the small crowd, because obviously we didn't have a crowd in the stadium. There was just a belief, and I believe they're a better team now. And you look at the bench, you know, we've got players that can come off the bench who can affect the game. Grealish, Sterling, you know, there's top players that can come off the bench and score goals and be match-winning changes. So you look throughout the team, they look strong. Listen, we all remember 93-20. It's one of them where we never do things simpler. So it's hard to be overconfident. But if you actually just take the facts of last week's game, where we could have scored 8 goals, it's difficult not to be confident that they can get through this time.
We're going to be looking at those goals a little bit later on in the show, but I wondered, Nedum, when you mentioned, have you ever had in your career where the season before you've kind of been so close to something and fell at the final hurdle, and then there has been that energy and maybe, I don't know, conversations in the changing room? Do you even need to say the next season where you're like, remember that feeling, boys?
Yeah, there've been times like that in my career, but you can see it with City from when sort of the investment came and so on, and the belief was starting to grow and grow and grow. Like, the best way I can describe it was, there was a point when I first started, 2004, and like, you know, we weren't really beating Man United. Trevor came, we beat Man United at home, but we never beat United at Old Trafford, The next thing, we beat United at Old Trafford under Sven-Göran Eriksson. Fast forward 2-3 years, and all those players are going to Old Trafford almost expecting to win. You know, once you've done it, you understand how it needs to be done to do it again. And I think for, like, this City side, like we said, this is the third semi-final, but the beauty of it this time is they know what it takes to get to a final. So they understand the situation, you understand how tough it's going to be playing the second leg away at this place. And for them, it doesn't faze them. Their expectation is this is why they came to the club. This is what they wanted to do. This is why the infrastructure is all around. Like, this is the standard. This is Manchester City. Like, the bar is always raised, and you have to continually improve. And I think for those guys there, going out in the field, unless we forget as well, within this City team today, Laporte didn't play in the final, Cancelo didn't play in the final, Rodri didn't play in the final. Jesus came off the bench in the final. So there were people who were out of favour at this point last season who probably were the most frustrated they might have been in their whole careers. So now here's a chance to get back, because right now you're the hot commodity, and maybe you can show, like, this is how good I am. Watch me play.
Great insight. I hadn't even thought about that. Thank you, Nedum. Also great to see, of course, friend of the show and club as well, Jolie Lescott. Little hello there with Jack Grealish. I hope he told Rio Ferdinand where he can stick it. Listen, if you want to come and get involved in the show, remember, this show is for you. You can do that using this number right there below. That is our WhatsApp number. Maybe you've got some burning questions for our guests, or maybe you want to talk about the team or pass comment. Please do. Very simple. Just use that WhatsApp number there, and we'll get to a couple of them a little bit later on in the show. Now, you'll have just seen, if you've you've just tuned in, we've got Natalie and Paul Dickov over in Real Madrid, and they've been taking in the sights, gone on a lovely little tour in a tuk-tuk.
Hey everyone! So Paul and I are in Madrid, and before the game tonight, we are going to take a tuk-tuk tour of the city. We're going to see all the sights, and we're going to have a good old chat about football. What a dream!
Come on, City!
So, we've now beaten Real Madrid 3 times in a row, Paul. Only 2 sides have ever beaten them 4 times in a row before. Ajax did it years and years ago, and Bayern did it in 2000 to 2002. So, do you think we're going to become the 3rd?
100,000,000%.
So, I think our first stop on the tour is the Royal Palace. Of course, at Manchester City royalty, we must take you to a palace.
I'll take that. I'm happy with that.
And it's massive. It's like twice the size of Buckingham Palace, bigger than Dickov Palace as well.
I don't know about that.
That's a real car. So that is the Royal Palace. It's twice the size of Buckingham Palace. It has over 3,400 rooms.
We do love a stat.
We do love a
stat, don't you? That is beautiful, though, isn't it?
And the sun's coming out! Got a good one for you.
Come on, then.
Real Madrid have been eliminated in their last 5 semi-finals where they lost the first leg.
That's going to be 6 then, isn't it? We are on tonight.
Okay, shall we get back in the tuk-tuk and go somewhere else?
Yeah, come on, let's do it.
So we're making a special stop here, Paul, because this is the
City!
The City Town Hall! Now, did you know that the 4-3 game in the first leg was only the 2nd time in Champions League history that a semi-final first leg had 7 goals?
Wow, I think there's going to be more.
More?
It'll be a goal fest at the Bernabeu.
And there's some crazy record about 10 goals as well that we can break. Not very many games in over 2 legs have gone to 10 goals.
I think there's going to be over 10 goals tonight in the Bernabeu over 2 legs. Come on, City.
Your pronunciation, your accent, Paul, is much better than mine. We're going to Cibeles Fountain. Cibeles. I love it. A Glaswegian Spanish accent's the best. Cibeles Fountain. So, 1728, that is Cibele, the mother of the gods. And this is the place that you'll find Paul Dickov at midnight tonight with his shirt round his head.
After we win the mother of all games as well.
Oh, yes! So if we do beat Madrid, get to the final. When thank you, Paul. When we beat Madrid, we'll be in the final for the 2nd year in a row. Now, 3 English teams have done that before. Can you name them? You know I like a quiz.
You do. Manchester United, I hate even saying that name.
Yep.
Liverpool?
Yep. One other.
Is it Arsenal?
No.
Oh, you've got me.
Nottingham Forest.
Nottingham Forest.
Nottingham Forest.
Fantastic, you've got that.
We'll be the 4th.
See, I'm gutted about that now.
Loves winning a quiz. Loves it.
We'll be getting more of Natalie's and Paul's day out in Madrid a little bit later on. Listen, we're not just a football show here, there, a little bit educational as well. There we have it. Right, of course, our second leg fixture is against Real Madrid, and I think it's about time we brought you Real Madrid's team news. This is their starting 11. Boom. Courtois starts in goal. Carvajal at fullback. Obviously a back 2 there of Milito and Fernandes. Mendy completes their back 4. Modric and Casemiro, who is the only change from that first leg fixture, comes in alongside Cruz. Valverde moves out to the right for Rodrigo, who's dropped out to the bench. Benzema captains his side in that number 9 role, and of course Junior Vinicius on that left-hand side of the 3. Looking to their bench, you've got Lunin, Fury Diaz, Alaba, Asensio, Marcelo, Jovic, Vasquez, Rodrigo, Diaz and Camavinga. Nedum, of course, Casemiro, the one change. We think Rodrigo had that slight knock. What will he bring to the team, and do you think it will change much in the way Real Madrid play the game?
I think for Casemiro coming back in, I think offers a different sort of challenge for KDB because he's got someone now who's going to be willing to hunt him around the field. I think in the last game with Valverde, with Kroos, with Modric, these are like really good footballers. You know, they don't want to be doing that dirty side of things, but for Casemiro, you know, it's almost like he takes pleasure in it. And then as well, to be fair to him, you know, break into the box and all that. And I think that midfield three, they've won a lot of stuff together, and you know that's their best sort of grouping. So, in fairness, it's going to be a different Madrid because the engine's just that little bit different. But again, you know, this is Man City and the way that they approach things. Like, they want to be front foot. So I think it will affect the way that Real Madrid play. The fans will be more comfortable, the players will be more comfortable. But then I think in the last game, with Rodrigo being up there and Vinicius Jr. being up there, it meant Benzema could roam that bit more because he always had a threat in behind. But if Valverde is not going to be stretching the game in behind like that, then again, it makes it a more interesting sort of tactical battle. Especially if, say, Carl's doing well 1v1 against Vinicius. Like, you look at their midfield and they're going to have a ton of runners breaking in there, but that doesn't necessarily suit their style of play. So, you know, it's going to be a slightly different version of Madrid, but according to that midfield three, people say it's going to be the better version, I'd say.
Yeah, I wondered, I mean, I don't know if there is an answer to this question. If there is, I'm sure hopefully City will have been told it, but Benzema, Trev, how do you go about not trying to stop him, because I don't think you can, but contain him and limit him to as little as possible?
Well, I think you've seen in the first game when Real Madrid played against Chelsea, if you let Casemiro, Kroos and Modric have too much time on the ball, because I think they played against a two in there, and they were dictating play in the middle park. And I think from there, that's little triggers for him to make movements, and if the ball's coming in without any pressure on the ball, it's impossible to contain him.
Yeah.
He's too experienced. So I think you stop it at the source. So out of possession, we can't allow them to overload in the middle of the park. We have to get man-to-man and make sure, as soon as the ball's going towards Casemiro, Modric, especially with his passing range, and also with Kroos, get pressure on the ball, so they have to get their heads down, and they can't play them 40, 30, 40-yard balls in behind into dangerous areas. That's how you deal with Benzema. If you stop it at source, I think pace-wise, we're not worried behind. He's not that quick. So I think we've got to stop it at source for the crosses. If we can do that, I think we could have a successful night.
Defensively as well, you know, and Ancelotti, I think, spoke about in his post-match conference, you know, there was, when we go and review the game again in a second, we were creating chances at will there at one point. It was pretty frightening. Obviously, I think as a defender, you'll know they'll want to maybe tighten that up, but they still need to get a goal. But do you think they'll have been doing much in training this week to try and limit us to creating as many chances as we did?
Potentially, but I think in some games, when you know that you're making mistakes, training for the week after isn't necessarily a case of, right, we're going to train and just not make mistakes. I think it's acknowledging the fact that you've made mistakes, understanding performance has to be better. You know, the game plan that they started out with obviously didn't quite work out for them because there were those little errors, and I think the same thing goes for City. You know, the way you're creating spaces and opening up the play and playing people in is fantastic. But can you maybe not make that foul there? Can you maybe sort of get this header better?
I think our mistakes were individual mistakes that led to the goals. I think their mistakes was almost we were forcing them into mistakes. And then with our intensity, they didn't know how to handle it. With the mobility in our side, you know, you got Foden, you got Mahrez on the right, you got Kevin De Bruyne breaking from midfield. The intensity, you know, and the combativeness of us to try and pick up that second ball. We were getting too many of them, and all of a sudden we were overloading them, and they couldn't deal with it. And that half an hour, the first half an hour of the game, I think that was key to our belief that if we have our intensity correct, they won't be able to handle it.
And what I would say with that, like as well, from Madrid, like they're playing at the Bernabeu now. You know, they've got the fan base there. The last game they had was one where they won the league title and they were celebrating. So they're in a good moment. You saw on the bus journey on the way in, they had thousands of fans outside. So them stepping there, that's like a really comfortable environment for them where they'll feel like they can play to their best, play to their abilities. And they know what City are going to do because it's the second leg. They've tasted that. And they'll be believing that they can be better again. Because I think Benzema said after the game, like, we're going to be great in this second leg. Because he knew they didn't play anywhere near their best. And now the environment's going to be different. So I think all I will say is, like, I think they will play better, but say there's certain people within their team whereby their traits don't necessarily suit being on the back foot. So I think if City manage to put them on the back foot, then Madrid are going to be asked questions which they don't really get asked in the league. Because you look at, say, Chelsea got knocked out in the last round, but they won the tie. And in the grand scheme of things, they won the tie comfortably. At one point, they were 3-0 up. They had a fourth goal disallowed, that type of thing. So it shows that Madrid aren't perfect, especially when they're on the back foot. So I think the key is going to be for City to get them on the back foot as quickly as possible.
Speaking of that comfortable environment as well, you know, I mean, of course, it's comfortable for Madrid, very uncomfortable for City players. But how much will it have almost helped them a little bit, having had to go to a hostile Atletico Madrid stadium, say, you know, and actually the fact now it's only our third team fan, but we're slowly getting used to going to these big grounds, you know, even
it's a great rehearsal.
Shakhtar Donetsk, you know.
It's a great rehearsal. I mean, listen, the Atletico game was a completely different question because that was us having the ball, and then when they getting kicked all over the pitch, basically. The referee, I thought, could have officiated better because I thought he let too much go without getting his cards out, and that's encouraging. A little bit like Leeds at the weekend. You know, I feel the challenge that went in with Dallas, if challenges would have been properly disciplined before that, Dallas doesn't go into that challenge with Grealish, and you almost set the environment for the players to play in as an official, and I hope the official tonight can get it right. And, you know, if we have got good possession of the ball and they're leaving little feet in here and there, that he'll deal with it. And if they do that and it's officiated properly, I just think we've got too much.
I think the issue with the officiating standpoint is like this is.
It's the Bernabeu.
I'm not going to say I'm anti-referee. I'm not necessarily anti-referee, but like at times they pretend to not be human because they say like crowds don't affect them. 50, 60, 70,000 people in an arena will affect you because every decision you make, if you get jeered by 60,000, you're not going to be thinking, yeah, that was nailed on the right call, was it? So I think in these type of instances, that was the case, say with Leeds at the weekend, like if the crowd are baying for it, this is what they want. It takes like a very strong character to say, no, this is wrong, this is what I want, this is the way I want to officiate.
But this is the Champions League, so we should have best in class, so they should be able to deal with and have the experience to deal with an environment like that.
Here's a theory for you. Like, sorry, just give me. Let me go for a minute. Let me go for a minute.
Always.
Okay? So I was watching the game at the weekend, and the team that was winning was playing away from home. I think it was Arsenal against West Ham. And a guy, Tavares, had a throw-in, and he had the ball in his hand for 5 seconds, 10 seconds. The crowd start whistling. The ref comes over, tells him to take it quicker. So he then throws it within like 15 seconds, loses the ball. A minute later, Fredericks, the left-back's got it for West Ham. He's had the ball for 10, 15, 20 seconds, 25 seconds, but the crowd's not jeering. So the ref doesn't tell him to come over and make it quicker.
It's London Stadium, he's allowed to do this.
But you know what I mean? Like, not everything is equal. Because have you ever seen somebody get a yellow card for time wasting when the team's losing?
No, not off the top.
No. You know what I mean? Like,
it's going against what you need. You need more
exactly.
intensity.
So the ref's not thinking, oh, just come on, play it quicker, or otherwise I'm going to book you. The perception's a thing. Like the human beings at the end of the day.
Have you got into psychology now?
Oh, I'm trying not to, mate. Please don't.
I'd say it'd be another string to his bow, wouldn't it? Yeah. Well, we all know as well the easiest way, of course, that we can nullify a crowd would be with an early goal. So here's hoping. Let's head back over to Madrid. We've got Natalie Pike and Paula Dickov there at the Bernabeu, and they're giving us their thoughts of that Madrid starting 11.
The Real Madrid starting 11 is out, and the big news for me straight away is that Casemiro is back. He starts this game, Paul. What effect will he have?
Well, it comes in from Rodrigo, who's a more attacking minded. I'm slightly surprised because Casemiro, he's one of the defensive midfielders, a little bit like Rodri, a little bit like Fernandinho, who likes to sit in there and break things up. So it's a little bit of a defensive move, but then that's just showing respect to Manchester City and how we played against them last week, you know, because we did make them look really open and poor defensively at times. We moved the ball very quickly, so Casemiro, I'm pretty sure is in there as a defensive move tonight to try and break our rhythm a little bit in midfield, because he doesn't mind giving away the odd foul, being a little bit cynical at times as well, but we've had that with Rodri and Fernandinho, so we can't really argue about that. But going forward, still got Modric, who's in the midfield to create, and obviously that man Benzema through the middle. But looking at our team and looking at their team, I'm even more confident now.
Now, they were able to rest quite a lot of players at the weekend. They won the league at the weekend, but were still able to rest players like Benzema. What effect will that have, do you think, the fact that he has had the weekend off?
A little bit, but it's similar to Kevin Bruyne and Bernardo, really, you know, because at this stage of the season, and I think with Benzema especially, he's a fantastic player, don't get me wrong, but he's 36 now, so he would have benefited from that. But whether he played at the weekend or not played at the weekend, coming into the game tonight, he's still a major threat for us.
And Vinicius Junior obviously starts again. We saw the problems that he caused us in that first game. Obviously, we know about the Kyle Walker situation. Are you expecting to see him have so much influence tonight?
I hope not, because he's a fantastic young player. But I think what he'll have to do tonight as a player is actually defend now as well. Because you all know Kyle's fantastic defensively. He's got the recovery pace to get back in, but he loves going forward as well. You know, so Vinicius Junior, he's going to have a job in his hand tonight, containing Kyle. Hopefully not the other way around.
Yes, and Modric, a word on him as well. I think last week, as far as I'm concerned, Kevin De Bruyne ended the debate on who is better, but he's still an incredible player.
He's sensational, and I think he's 35, 36 now as well. And one thing we can't do is give him time on the ball. You know, just talking about Benzema, they've got a great relationship between each other. You know, as soon as Modric gets the ball, Benzema makes us run in behind. So first thing is don't give him the ball. We keep possession, we keep possession, and stop Modric getting the ball. And the second thing is just stop the source into Benzema.
So, Paul Dickov Dickov is even more confident after seeing that Real Madrid team. They've got a bit more defensive. Are they going to try and contain us? Can they contain us? We'll see.
Well, I hope they can't contain us, Natalie. That'll be the plan of the attack, I think, for the boys in blue, indeed. And if you've just tuned in, welcome into Matchday Live. Welcome to the home of Matchday Live, this brand new, beautiful studio. We're going to be bringing you so much exciting stuff from here as the weeks unfold. Joining me in the studio, I've got Trevor, Sinclair and Nedum, who, of course, building up to our second semi-final leg against Real Madrid at the Bernabeu Stadium. But let's just recap and grab the popcorn, because we're now going to go back over that first leg that took place this time last week at the Etihad Stadium, and it was a hell of a game, wasn't it, Nedum?
Yeah.
I mean, arguably, that is going to be one for the history books for the Etihad Stadium, but we're going to take a look at some of the highlights as well. Was the City fan in you, like most of us, a little bit gutted we didn't get a 2-goal cushion given the chances?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit, because I think some of these goals, they are avoidable, but then what a feeling it was when Mahrez plays this ball and Kevin does that, 90 seconds into the game, you're going berserk wherever you are, like, oh, what a great start this is, and it's great bits of play, Kevin making that run into the box, Riyad putting that quality in like always, and it just sets the tone for the match.
Yeah.
So it was a shame that they didn't come away with a 2-goal cushion, but then you saw the way they played within it. You're thinking they deserve more, and you're thinking if they play anything like that again in the second leg, but they're more clinical, then what a position that they could be in come the end of this match.
Yeah, very true. So we then got the second goal. It wasn't too far afterwards. This was a beautiful goal here. Here we have a little look. Who's that man again? Of course, Kevin De Bruyne popping up. And the man in fine form, Gabriel Jesus. You kind of felt like he was going to score given his form, didn't you, Trev?
Yeah, he did, and it was a funny little clip that was shown in a lot of the papers after this goal and after the game. And I think it's Foden had the ball right in the corner at the corner flag, and he just looks like he's coming out to recycle the ball. And I think there's about 8 people who were looking straight at Foden and the ball, and Kevin De Bruyne is on the right-hand side there, and he's the only one looking. He's already looking where he's playing that pass into Jesus.
Yeah.
So he's playing in the future a little bit.
Yeah.
He knows that ball's going to come to him because he knows the discipline that Foden's got as a young player. He's not going to try and do too much on it. He's going to lay it back to him. He's already seen that picture. And then the ball, when he gets it, first touch out of his feet, bang, into Jesus. I'm not sure it was on purpose, the touch, but it was a good touch. Great finish, really good for his confidence. Yeah. And again, scoring against Real Madrid. It's no surprise he's starting tonight, Jesus, because he has scored consistently against Real Madrid.
Absolutely. I think he's our highest scoring player against Real Madrid over the last few seasons as well. Now, next year we're going to look at a few chances before, of course, the Madrid goal. The debate around this one was, should Mahrez have squared it to Phil earlier?
I think he could have done, but then also I'm backing him to be able to score that. Him taking a shot in his right foot from that position, I still think he's going to be able to hit the target. Like, let's not get it confused. Like, the pass is there, but he's the top scorer for the football club this season.
Yeah.
When you're saying the top scorer for the football club shouldn't be shooting, you're like, come on, what type of conversation we're having? Like, it hurts more because of how it finished. If the keeper saves it, goes for a corner or something, then people might be saying, oh, it's not the end of the world. But it was a shame that happened, because he's good enough to be able to square that ball. Yes. But then to see those bodies flowing forward, and as was the case with the goal before from Jesus, that was the 3v2 in City's favour in Madrid's box.
Yes.
So it just goes to show how front foot they are, and in that moment there, as I say, it could have gone better, but so many other things.
And it's a point as well, unless he plays it early, it looks probably easier for us watching.
Yeah.
It's not easy to square it as back.
He's good enough. It's not easy, but he's good enough to do it.
But when there's that jeopardy, just talking from a forward's point of view, when there's that jeopardy in a pass, and you can take the shot on, sometimes it's the better option, because you only kick yourself afterwards if you know it's tight and you think, oh, is it on, is it on? Yeah. And you try and play the pass and it's intercepted and you think, I should have just shot.
And some people...
And that's what he's done, but the only thing I would say, he just needs to get it inside. I think if he gets it inside the post, that goes in. I think it's almost like you can't really read a lot of players kicking when they're kicking with a weaker foot.
Yes.
And because it's a bit of a swinger, if he gets that inside the post, it goes in.
I think as well, like, some people's criticism from City, from the outside, and some people inside, they say that they're too much pass first, shoot second. So then when somebody shoots first instead of passing, it's like, well, he should have passed. You know what I mean? Like, you
it's always easy from the sofa.
Yeah, exactly.
So
like,
true.
I've become such a much better player from some of the views I have now. Like, I look down on the game. Yeah, that's the ball there. I'm backing him up. Just thread it there. It's obvious. Just take your shot. Just put it in that corner. I'll be honest, mate. When I was playing pitch side, all I could see was the person directly in front of me and nothing else. All right? I'll hold my hands up. And that looks like he could have done this or could have done that. But chances are I'd have done exactly the same.
Done exactly the same. There was the next chance game from Foden. And I guess these are when we say about could we've had a finer margin. The question is, well, that pass as well.
Oh, look at this. It's another 3v2.
And the De Bruyne ball as well. And do you know what? We've seen Foden that just nestle in, haven't we? So
I mean, you're talking about half a foot. But again, you know, the ball comes in from Jesus into Kevin De Bruyne. Before the ball's arrived, he's already checked his left shoulder. He knows where Foden is, and he knows what skill sets Foden's got. If he puts it into that area, the defender can't get there before Foden because of his pace. And then he settles himself, he gets his touch right, he does everything right. He just puts it the wrong side of the post. But again, chances we created, you know, it could be 3 or 4 before they even had a decent attack.
This was the Zinchenko chance here that we can see now, but I think that's the next question is, had it got to 3-0, does this tie play out differently than when they got the third goal?
It has to, because the lads are so confident, and the belief amongst the group in what they're trying to achieve, the game plan, it's absolutely working to a T.
Yeah.
They're creating chances, they're pressing the life out of the Real Madrid players out of possession. They can't handle the intensity. The crowd's on side, the referee's letting the game flow. And we were just talking off air. Kevin De Bruyne's got so many skill sets to his game, but he's 6'1". He's a strong-looking lad. He tackles. He's quick. I mean, it must be an absolute nightmare to play against.
We've had a question come in, actually. Now, we'll take a pause and reflect on that, but it came in from Ted on WhatsApp. Remember, you can do the same as well. Is Kevin De Bruyne the best player in the world at the moment?
For me, I would say he's definitely the best midfielder. I can't see any midfielder out there doing what he's doing on a consistent level. Goals, assists, intensity, physicality, you know, in Europe, domestically, you know, he's actually grown into that. And you know, we were talking as well of at times when City have huffed and puffed a little bit and been a bit frustrated, he's the one that gets the game by the scruff of the neck and goes and inspires his teammates. And that's, you know, there's a team full of great players, but when you see someone rise above that to inspire them and go and press and go and, you know, just set them off, more often than not, it is him that does that.
Right, here's one for you.
Oh, hello.
Okay, because, you know, I like to go off-piste a little bit.
Of course.
So, I was doing a show the other day, and I don't think I've said this on here before, and the question was, start, bench, sell. Yeah.
Okay.
So you understand that concept, essentially. Like, don't die too much on, like, the start, bench, sell concept. But it was 3 players from City.
Yeah.
And it's them at their absolute best. Not their history for City and what they did, but them at their absolute best ability-wise. You've got to start, bench or sell. Kevin De Bruyne, Yaya Toure, David Silva.
It's an unacceptable question.
Mate, I thought it was bang out of order. Cameras rolling. So, yo,
I think it's bang out of order. You brought it to this show, thank you very much.
Unacceptable question.
People to think about. Exactly. And what it made me think realistically is, like, we've been blessed to have 3 players that are that good.
Yeah.
That, like, it breaks your heart to be able to say what, like, a couple of them shouldn't start.
Yeah, that's a tricky one.
And it becomes easier if you think about David's legacy because he's got a statue outside the stadium. But when you think about them at their absolute best, like, the case for me for Kevin De Bruyne and Yaya Toure is if they play at their best, nobody can match them. It completely changed the game. Like, physically, technically, everything.
I think Jolien would say start Yaya Toure because he always says that about Yaya.
If Yaya was on...
Look at his stats on his season when he did well with his goals and his return.
Phenomenal.
Then you look at Kevin De Bruyne, the treble, the domestic treble.
And then you look at David Silva, it's like, literally, we walk past his statue on the way in or whatever, you know what I mean? Like,
you can't disrespect him and
No.
bench him. Right?
You know what, no. We'll put that out to anyone watching. If you want to get involved in that, send us a little WhatsApp of what you would do. If you would start, bench or sell. Playing their peak of their powers, Yaya Toure, Kevin De Bruyne and David Silva. Get some in and we'll read them out a little bit later on the show.
Perfect.
Need him there. It's for my job, innit?
It's a horrible question. It's a horrible question. No, it's how I didn't answer it. It's a horrible question.
Let's get back into looking back at the first leg, of course, and it was stood at 2-0. And then, I mean, Trev, that finish
Listen, it's almost unstoppable. I mean, Nedum will tell you more about the positioning of Zinchenko there, but I don't think it's bad. You know, he doesn't want to get in front of in front of Benzema, because if he does and he just checks away, he's got caught under the ball. So I think he's in the idea. It's not even a chance, really. He has no real right to finish that. But I think that tells you where he is and where his status is as one of the best strikers in the world at the moment.
I think for me, like, if I'm going to be exceptionally critical, I think Zinchenko could be on the inside of him, so that Benzema's on the outside. Because
offside?
No, as in, like, say Zinchenko's here and Benzema's on this side with the ball coming in this way. That's me being really critical.
But I think as a forward, I could step and just pull, and if he knows me, I'm getting in and you can't do anything about that.
But you're then protecting the goal side. You're closer to the goal from that point. But the finish is great. But this is why I think that'd be a better position, because it wasn't a great ball in the box.
No. He turned it into
was literally, it was like a nothing ball into the box. But one thing which I saw of it, though, as play develops and they rolled it to Mendy, Benzema's just running in. This is what they do. Just put it in there.
Yeah, so that's not just happening by accident.
No,
this is a game
the new ball was coming.
So as it goes rolling there, that's the trigger then for Benzema to try and get across his man. Yeah. And he did just about do that. The contact's perfect. It's gone between Zinchenko. I mean, there's a lot of luck in there, but you also have to say he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, it's a brilliant finish.
You know, it's not by accident.
A left foot volleyed finish from across like that into the bottom corner. It's not a thing, is it?
Come on. We then had, of course, then we was 2-1. We had a couple of chances. We had a Mahrez chance. A Foden had it cleared off the line. But then, I mean, who popped up to make it 3-1 after a surging right back?
From Cafu. Oh, sorry, Fernandinho.
I mean, the goal is a great...
He's older than Cafu.
Exactly. To be fair, so are you, so maybe why not? Maybe calm down a bit, mate.
But the goal, it's a great finish from Foden. It's all about Fernandinho in that one.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, he stole the ball from Vinicius. And, you know, when Fernandinho was coming on, everyone's thinking, like, Fernandinho's old enough to be like Vinicius's, like, father, so you're a bit concerned or whatever. But to start with, he was very front foot, he was clean on the ball. And that just goes to show, you know, you can still have an effect on the game, even if it's not your normal position.
Yes.
That's a unique experience, though, because he doesn't want Vinicius getting the ball under control, fronting him up and getting at him, because he's banging trouble. So what he has to do is, as that ball's on the way, get your distance right. And Nedum knows this. Get your distance right. As the ball arrives, you can arrive and compete for that first ball in. Yeah. And with your experience, you can nick the ball off him, and that's exactly what he did.
The downside was for this goal here, you know, as that ball's been played, it's like a stronger ball, as opposed to a little tippy-tappy where you can try and nick in front.
And then I wanted to ask Nedum on that, you know, we kind of seen it. First of all, should Ederson have been doing any more to close down? And should Laporte have come across sooner?
I think in hindsight, Laporte could have possibly come across a bit more, because Rodri ends up being the one who's breaking his back to go in. But one thing I would say, I think the similar sort of thing happened in the game before in the league. So I don't know if Pep and the coaching staff say this is how they want you to defend these situations when someone's coming in. I don't know.
Yeah, I know there was a concept at Barcelona that where the second centre half, because it was a bit of a free, there was a 4 that used to sit in front of 2 centre halves and the fullbacks used to bow on. If the right hand side fullback come across, he's not supposed to go across further than the penalty spot, so that you know you're probably covering that far post. The goalkeeper's got the near post, and maybe there was just a little bit of confusion on that one. You were too wide to be able to execute that.
Yeah. As well, like, as I say, I'm being extra critical here just because I can see it in hindsight. Like, in the moment, you make the best decision that you can.
Yeah.
But in that clip, one person we don't mention is Ruben Diaz. The ball's being played to Vinicius, and Ruben's already higher than the ball already as the turns happened. So it's good to be aggressive. But sometimes you have to understand, say, the makeup of the sort of the side around you as well.
Yeah, and the changes that we've had to make as well.
Exactly. So you need to be, in my opinion anyway, supporting Fernandinho more from that side, because you do trust him. But if he gets beaten,
you don't also have ended up where Ruben was.
Exactly. Yeah, because the person that comes in to try and make the tackle is Rodri. But in an ideal world, you want that person to engage with him to be Ruben. But he wasn't there in that moment.
Great point. Next goal, of course, came from the man who's had a phenomenal season, and gosh, I just love him more and more, Bernardo. But that finish, Trev, what is?
Everyone played to the whistle, isn't it? Everyone else stopped, and like he's close control, high intensity. I mean, he's changed direction. He's alertness to say, you know what, I've not heard a whistle, I'm carrying on, and then to execute this finish. He's not even looking at the goal. He knows where the goal is. A little bit of waz on it.
Oh. Do you know what? Like, in the moment, the best way I described it, I think, was like, that's not normal. Like, when there's such an obvious foul that's just happened, and it's the edge of the box, you're like, oh, it's excited, it's a chance to score. For him to just go and just take the ball and start playing, you know, she'd be like, whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
He's just so good.
I think it was him the other week. I can't remember what was the goal where we took the quick free kick as well, and I can't remember who that was against now, but that was Bernardo again. I think he was the first one to quickly react. Well, let's get the ball back.
Like, if I was defending for Real Madrid and that foul's just happened, my initial reaction would be like, oh, am I in the wall or not? Not like somebody's just picked the ball up and they've just scored. It's like, oh, hold on a sec, what's going on? Because that quick play stuff, I think, happens in different areas. Like,
I think top players switch on like that. You know, they're just a little bit, like, not sneaky, but they're trying to look for any edge. And if he doesn't hear the whistle, what's one of the first rules in football? Play until you hear the whistle, and he does that. And the execution of the strike,
just for balance, as
you
well.
know.
Like I don't want people saying I'm anti-referee. I thought the referee did very well with that, because he could have blown straight.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Courtois was almost like, he looked like he had lead boots, and he was like, he was shocked. Because it all happened too quickly. He was thinking it was a free kick, then all of a sudden he's bang, it's already there.
The way I feel about that chance, like I'm talking about, like it's a quick free kick. It wasn't a free kick because the ball never stopped.
No.
You know what I mean? Like that's something else that just makes it really weird. Like some people are genius to spot the ball and go.
He's a top player, isn't he, Bernardo?
Yes.
Bernardo Silva all over.
Huge fans favourite, and
of course,
so.
I mean, it had to be given his, given his form. But I got asked on the radio earlier, did I find that disrespectful? And I said, no. I said, he's stepping after. Did you say as well, Trevor, he'd missed 2 penalties before
He missed his last
the week
2.
before, yeah.
Those things, like those pens, they only get criticised when they go wrong. You know what I mean? Because they say there should be a set way that you do it, but then not set way where you do it. People also miss penalties. I've seen people do the perfect.
We've seen Aguero get Chelsea last season in that one exact goal.
Yeah, exactly. A goal is a goal.
But this is what Mavericks do as well. They've got their own rules. They've got their own rhythm, and he just felt it. And we were saying, if the keeper Ederson stays there, I think he's got the ability to just drag it to his left, put it in the bottom. It's one of the easiest skill sets to do. So he's going to chip it, and unless Ederson goes. And then Ederson obviously went. He thought I might as well.
That's a bad take. Is it disrespectful?
No, it's not disrespectful.
You know what I mean? No, I know you wouldn't. But like, what are we talking about? Is it disrespectful? Somebody scored a penalty against you. Oh, sorry. Let me roll this to you. It's fine. If you want to do better and not take offence to it, like, don't give away the penalty, and then see if you can stand there and catch the ball if he's going to dink it.
That's it.
But otherwise, if you score, you score. That's just what it is.
It was, and that's what made it 4-3. And I think I'm just going to have to gather my breath again, because brings it all straight back up. So let's hear how the fans have been feeling in Madrid, who have gone there to support the boys in the Bernabeu. We've been getting some of their thoughts and feelings ahead of the game against Real Madrid in Madrid.
Okay, what's your name?
Mason.
And where have you come from?
Rochdale.
Rochdale, when did you come out?
Yesterday.
Are you having a brilliant trip?
Amazing. Any better? Nothing better than here.
Have you got your sun cream on? Because the sun's like blessed and out now.
No, it doesn't help that I'm a ginger either.
I need to get you some sun cream. I need to look after you.
I need factor 50, I think. Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Really nervous, yeah, I won't lie. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, are you having a great day so far?
I mean, it's wonderful, but you look at the game at the Etihad and how close it was, and that 4-3, it's on a knife edge, isn't it? And it's really set it up now. It's really poised for a fantastic game at the Bernabeu.
I'd rather not think about it, but I think we'll win 2-1. 2-1. 2-1.
How's it going to go? Are we going to score early, or are we going to be nervous?
I think a goal just before half-time for Madrid. I think we'll go 1 down and then win 2-1, like last time.
Why would you do that to me?
Why would they do it to me? Every time. The game's the worst part. I don't even want to go to the game. You can have a ticket if you want.
Who do you want to see playing? Who's your favourite?
I love Riyad Mahrez. His touch is... I've never seen a touch better in my life, honestly.
I think Riyad Mahrez is one of our players of the season.
He could be up there, honestly.
Who's going to score?
De Bruyne. Maybe 2. If not, I think Mahrez will get one as well.
I'm also convinced that Phil Foden might score like an absolute world beater tonight.
Phil Foden scores a madness goal, and I don't know what will happen. I think he'll just go off in that away end. It'll be unreal. A Manc boy scoring a goal in the Bernabeu, unreal.
Take us to the final.
Take us to the final, to Paris, and if we get to Paris, I think we'll win it, to be honest with you. Hand on heart, I think we'll win it.
I think it'll be all or nothing now. I just hope that they leave everything on that pitch tonight. I hope if they give us everything, guts and glory, then we can't complain, can we? We've got to go for it. That final is set up now with Liverpool, and as long as I can walk away from that stadium tonight and they've given everything, then that's all that we can hope for.
Right, give me a score prediction. Oh, sorry, you said it. Do it again.
2-1 City. De Bruyne and Mahrez.
If we get to the final, we'll win it. Last year...
When we get there?
When we get there.
When we get to the final.
There's no when, we will get to the final. There's no when about it, we will get there.
Yes, love it. Great positivity. Give me a score prediction.
Oh my goodness. 3-1 City. Let's be confident.
Come on.
Come on, City, and you fans over there, you're giving me confidence as well. Thank you to Natalie, and always great to hear what you guys are making of the game. I'm sure you'll be either inside the stadium or very close to it, so enjoy the game, my friends, indeed. Now, you'll have seen this week a Manchester City legend in the form of Karen Bardsley announced her retirement at the end of this season. She is going to leave footballing world the second most capped keeper international level with 82 appearances, only behind Peter Shilton. And she's been an incredible performer on the pitch, an incredible character off the pitch as well. And Nedum, she's had a phenomenal career, hasn't she?
Yeah,
she's been so key to the rise of Manchester City's women's team as well.
Oh, 100%. So, like, have her as a blue is fantastic. And, you know, you talk about those 82 games, like, that's a long time. It's a lot of being fit, a lot of being at the top of your game. You know, she's absolutely incredible. I think she's been a big role model for people as well, coming up behind her. And I think as well, when we talk about women's football, especially as a goalkeeper, 20 years ago, they weren't having full-time coaching from goalkeeper coaches and things like this, so she's been able to make the sort of transition to the point where she's as good as she is now, but she's not had the sort of, like, foundational level training that, say, other people are having now. Like, she's made a difference, she's sort of laid the path for people to come. And she's obviously been very successful as well whilst wearing that shirt, which is something I'm more than happy to get behind.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And I think as well they're going to be plans in place to celebrate Karen's retirement and her career at the end of the final game, women's game of the season. And a massive congratulations and all the love and thanks to Karen from us at Manchester City. Right, from us here in Manchester, let's head back over to Madrid and see what Natalie and Paul were getting up to yesterday before the game.
Paul and I are having the best time in Madrid. This is an absolute dream. We are in the famous square, which is very soon going to be filling up with lots and lots of City fans. I am sure of it. I love it. I'm having the best time. Paul keeps getting mobbed for pictures, but this time it's a little bit different. Not sure he's ever been asked to do this before. Anyone see the Scotsman? Anyone see the Scot? Hello.
Hello.
Are you okay?
Just making a pause here.
Are you having a wonderful time?
Well, I'm just brushing up my Spanish with my good friends here.
Así es, estamos con un amigo aquí también.
Sí.
No sé lo que me has dicho, pero yo lo que sí.
Exactly. I'm going to say that myself. I think it is pretty good. I'm happy with that.
Listo, Paul, ya estás.
Absolutely.
Ya está, mira, ya está, mira.
Fantastico.
Gracias.
That is genius.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm very excited. What a day we're having. Time to be alive.
Looking nervous, Nat. Looking nervous.
He puesto una mirada a Natalia y impresionante. ¿Es la primera vez que estás haciendo mi first de casa?
Okay.
Impresionante.
So we've had our picture done, Paul. What do you think?
Mine's is pretty life size at the same time. He's done me a favour there. He's made my forehead look even smaller than what it is. And my little short body even bigger than what it is, so I'm quite happy with that.
Look how muscly I am. I've been working out. Also, my teeth are pretty much the size of Paul's whole body, yeah.
Natalie's tackling me there as well. Don't mess with that.
Oh, yeah, I am. Yeah, definitely. I've won that ball. So, a souvenir of Madrid.
I mean, Paul was happy for it. You had a great shout, though. If you didn't have the number 9 on the bottom, who would you think that could be, Nedum?
100% John Major. If you don't know who that is, just have a Google and you'll see that is who that is. That is John Major.
John Major. Close second, which I also liked, was Sven-Göran Eriksson.
It's definitely a mix of the two, but Natalie's right about her teeth and so on. You know, yeah. I wonder who's going to have to take that home with them.
Yeah, I wonder. We'll see when they get back. Tomorrow we'll be celebrating that win. Right, now you'll know on every Matchday live show we've been bringing you an exclusive teaser of our 9320 documentary. Now, for all information on that, go to mancity.com/9320. But guess what? The exclusive looks don't stop there. We can bring you another one as we head over to the Molineux for this.
You can
to start to feel excited. You know, you feel excited not because of the result, but more because we know that we are playing well, and we know there's no chance we're going to drop points.
And it was incredible. That was the momentum point, that turnaround point, that game, and watching how Everton managed to squeeze that result. You can see the momentum immediately shift back to us.
Here's Aguero, and he's tucked it away. They've been threatening, and now they've found a way through.
In the end of the day, it was a beautiful game. I think we played great football. Again, Carlos was ever so performant. Sergio was just on fire that day, and yeah, it was a really good day.
It's turned into an unexpectedly good day for Manchester City. Title race that seemed to have been won by Manchester United a fortnight ago is well and truly back on.
For us, it was an extreme high of emotions. Still, you know, you don't go over enthusiastic, but at least now it's in your own hands again.
I mean, I'm getting more and more excited for that as the weeks go on, and that is going to drop a week on Friday absolutely everywhere. mancity.com/9320. And don't forget as well, we're going to be having a very special event. If you're lucky enough or fortunate enough to be able to get to Manchester, there is one taking place here to celebrate a decade since that infamous day indeed. If you've just tuned in, welcome to Matchday Live with myself, Cel Spellman. Welcome to the brand new home of Matchday Live in this brand spanking new studio. And safe to say, we have settled in very nicely. My guests today are Nedum and Trevor Sinclair. I can bring you the starting 11s of both teams if you haven't seen them yet. Manchester City's looks like this. Ederson starts in goal. Kyle Walker plays alongside Ruben Diaz, who captains us alongside Laporte, and João Cancelo comes back into the fold after serving that suspension. Rodrigo will be holding in front of him Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva. Riyad Mahrez, Phil Foden and Gabriel Jesus complete the starting 11 as our forward three. You can take a quick glance at the bench as well. Zach Stefan, Scott Carson, Nathan Ake, Raheem Sterling, Ilkay Gundogan, Jack Grealish, Zinchenko, Fernandinho, CJ Egan-Riley, Cole Palmer and James McAtee. I can also, I think, bring you as well the Madrid starting 11, of course, closed by Carlo Ancelotti. Their starting 11 looks like this. Courtois starts in goal, a back four of Carvajal, Milito, Fernandes, Mendy. Then in the middle we've got Modric, Casemiro and Kroos, and a forward three of Junior, Benzema and Valverde. On their bench as well, Lunin, Fui Diaz, Alaba, Asensio, Marcelo, Jovic, Vasquez, Rodrigo, Diaz and Camavinga. Gents, we had this question come in on WhatsApp. Remember, you can do the same as well if you want to get in touch with our guests. And it reads this. It says, remind me later on that, thank you very much. Our defensive back four have played well without Walker and Cancelo. They are back. How well do you think this defensive four can contain Junior and Benzema?
So this is my sort of like negative take as a defender. I think the game of football is best when there are goals that are being scored, but I think for you as a defender, you make it as hard as possible for them to be able to do so. So there's no back four, any individual defender which will guarantee that the other team will not score. But I think the beauty of this back four is that they will make it that bit tougher for Real Madrid, and they'll ask them questions going in the other direction as well. So as I say, there's no guarantee that anything will, like City won't concede or anything like that, but you trust the people back there to make it tough. Because at the end of the day, like, you see with Benzema, he scores out of nothing. You see with somebody, they might strike a shot in from 40 yards, it goes into the top corner. Like, that's sheer class. That's the semi-final of the Champions League. These are the type of players we're talking about.
Yes.
But in City's back four, they're very, very good. You know, they understand the task. They've seen the film of, like, say, the game the week before, and they understand that in this environment, you can't really make mistakes to offer encouragement to both the team and to the crowd. So I trust them. Pep trusts them. I think everybody that's seen the team trusts them as well, because we've got so many good memories of that. But again, this is a whole new situation. But as I say, going into it, they have to be confident for sure.
Of course they do. And I mean, these boys here, and this will bring me on to this next question. This is from Badgeth as well, who got in touch on WhatsApp as well. Thank you. And it says, I am confident but nervous at the same time. I feel you, brother. Of course, Real Madrid were declared La Liga champions over the weekend. Is that going to add additional pressure onto our team, or will it take out the pressure from our opponent players because they're champions?
I think for them, they've got over the hurdle with one of their goals this season, so they've put that to bed. I think it'll probably give them a little bit of freedom because they've achieved something already, and they'll go into this game feeling, listen, we were beaten by the better team, but we're still in the tie. We're still in this game. You know, we're not out of it. We could quite easily have been out of it. A couple of scenes, I think it was after the third goal, I was watching Modric, and he was beside himself, frustrated, because he couldn't do anything about what was going on the pitch. And that gave me confidence, because you're talking about a former Ballon d'Or, you know, really frustrated, not knowing how to solve the problems that he had in front of him with this Manchester City side. So, just going back to your question earlier, we mentioned it earlier, you've got to stop it at source, because I think Benzema's movement is so good, and it's not like movement where you're running 10 yards past somebody. It's just little faint nuances of his movement and the players that know what he wants to do. And I think if you can stop that at source, stop the ball, or the player getting the ball out of his feet to look for them passes, I think you can stop him. But if you can't, if you don't stop that, he's going to get...
And that's the thing about City, and say sides who are good defensively, it's not just the back four. It is it's the midfielders, it's the front line applying pressure to people at the back, and that's what City did. Like I said last week, Madrid were playing a ton of long balls. It's because they had to. It wasn't because they wanted to. It's because there was so much pressure on people in the back line, but that's what they were resorted to.
But you're almost asking them to say, right, you've got two options. You play it long, or you take me on. In your own final third. It takes a confident man to be able to do that, especially when you're talking about players that don't just press, and if you drop a shoulder and go past them, they'll just give up. They'll stick to that task. So it's not like they're just going to go away, and then you're still looking for a pass because everyone's locked on. You end up playing long.
You know what they remind me of as well, like, to sort of link different generations. So Stevie Ireland, I'm still playing football with him now, and he still does exactly the same thing. And when I'm playing behind him, I look in front and I try and tell him there's somebody to his left or somebody to his right. But I think, why am I bothering? Because he knows exactly where they are, And what he does, he just stands there just acting like, oh no, I don't know where you're going to go. Then the moment you put your head down and play the ball, he just takes it, just intercepts it.
Wow.
Like, some people, they know where you're going to go, they read your body language, you can't trick them. And I think that's the thing with this sort of City front line. They know where you're going to go. They're playing daft, like, I'm 5 yards off.
They're showing them passing lanes. And then as soon as you put your head down to play that passing lane,
that's where they are.
You go and cut it off. It's better than tackling as well, because if you're going into tackles, especially with guys like this, Nedum was a strong athlete.
Like an ox.
Well, he was. If you're going for tackles with these guys, you're going to end up coming out second best and getting hurt. The better way to look after yourself and your longevity and stay fit is not get involved in them.
Nick the ball.
Let them see little things, or anticipate a bad first touch, or let them see a little passing lane there. And as they get their head down, like he was saying, then go in and intercept that. Michael Carrick did it a lot for Manchester United in that era.
Some people are very, very good with it. Like, to talk about one game specifically, it was I think it was 2008 when Sven was in charge, when we won that second game at Old Trafford. What Stevie did to Rio Ferdinand, I've never seen anything like it before. Rio went from, like, the obvious one to the double bluff, to the triple bluff, to the quadruple bluff, but every time Stevie was having every single one of them. So his head was in a spin, trying to show how good he is. And Stevie just like, I'll take that, thank you. I'll take that one, thank you. Like, it's a nightmare. And I think when we had Stuart Pearce, I don't know, you'll probably remember, but we used to have this game where we were in the penalty box, and he put little goals at the ends of the penalty box, just little small goals, like probably about that high and that wide. And you used to have to try and build out and try and score in there. So now you've got like 20 players in the penalty box going across it. Every time Stevie was like playing against me, I had to kick it long. I'm in a penalty box kicking it long. Because I can't be just trying to pass it to midfield, because he's just going to take it and he's just going to score. It's horrible.
Can you not coach that? Is that just something that's you're saying there? You know, like Steve G must have had it, or Steve Brown had it in him. Is that just something that's in?
I think some people have something special. I think you can be okay at it, and you can sort of learn.
I think Bernardo does it really well. Because I think a lot of the smaller, slighter players build that train of thought when they're young, because they know they can't go into tackles with bigger lads. Phil Foden will do it well. They have different skill sets, but then when physically they catch up, they've got more in the locker.
And I think of it like a defender can know when someone's going to shoot, and they'll block it in the direction someone's probably going to shoot. So for an attacker, they can see where you're going to try and pass, because they've done these passes before. you can't beat them with something that you think is really smart and clever, because they're really smart and clever players. And before you know it, oh, you know, I'm going this way.
It's just IQ, isn't it?
Exactly.
And that's what you're talking. When they go and press, they don't just press.
No,
the body shape. There's a lot of IQ involved,
yes,
and there's a lot of like planning that goes into where you're pressing them to. Are you going to show them down the line? Are you going to show them inside? If you're showing them inside, are you going to get tight that side? There's so much detail that goes into it, but it takes time on the training pitch, and that's, you know, Pep's a master at that, teaching players exactly what he wants, and then they go out and execute it.
Yeah, fascinating listening to that as well. Thank you, gents. Right, don't forget as well, if you want exclusive Manchester City commentary, you can get that on the Manchester City app. Alistair Mann, of course, brings that every week. He's joined by an esteemed guest. This week, he's alongside Michael Brown. So if you want to listen to that commentary or watching the game, the Manchester City app is the place to do that. Right, let's get our final piece from Natalie Pike and Paul Dickov. Let's see what they also got up to with some fans. I think a little bit of golf was on the agenda.
So Paul and I have come to Plaza de Mayo in the centre of Madrid. This is where all the City fans come to drink, to meet, to sing. They call it the square, and everybody is having a brilliant, brilliant time. We can hear the atmosphere is really building. So I'm going to speak to some City fans. I'm going to see what they think about the game tonight. But also, we're going to get them to do our challenge against the one and only Paul Dickov. It is City Golf Madrid.
Come on, City!
So the first person we found in Madrid is the one and only Big Steve. He's obviously been on the show earlier this season as well. Steve, you're here. How are you feeling, love?
A bit of sunburn, but I'm doing all right. Yeah, I'm a bit nervous now, but just ready for the game now. It's time to do it. Watching Liverpool get to Paris last night, I was a bit jealous. But this is our time now. We've been here before, we've won before. The City fans are here, everyone's in good spirits. And let's just get the job done now.
How are you feeling about tonight?
It should be more comfortable than what it's going to be, is what I feel about it.
What does that mean?
Well, we should be at least 3 goals ahead.
But we're not.
I know, that's the thing, isn't it? So I'm nervous.
OK, give me a score prediction.
2-1 City.
OK.
I'm sticking with that as well, 2-1, yeah.
OK.
3-1. 3-1 City.
I like it. Now, how are you feeling about the day ahead?
A bit nervous, to be honest, but I think we let in too many goals last week, but I think we should do them, really.
How are you going to keep your nerves calm all day? Like, what are you going to do to keep going?
Is it not pretty obvious what we're going to do? Play golf with Dickov. It's a bit unfair that you've been playing all day.
He's been playing golf most of his life as well, probably. Great. Cheers, lads. Have a good day. These guys have turned up in the absolute best shirts for this challenge. Loving the 99 shirts. Absolutely love them. What's your names?
Neve.
Neve.
And Alex.
Neve and Alex. How are you feeling today? You having a good day, first of all?
Good. Yeah, amazing. Are you?
Yeah, very good day, very good day. A few beers down already, couldn't be better.
How are the nerves?
Getting better, slowly getting better. The more beers that go down, the nerves seem to calm down a little bit more. So,
what are you thinking about the team tonight? Who are you hoping to see in the team?
I just want to see Walker and Cancelo. That's all I want to see. And then obviously the normal front, De Bruyne, everyone. But
what's the normal front though?
For me, tonight it's going to be Mahrez, Jesus, and Foden. It's got to be.
What are you thinking about tonight? How are you feeling?
I am nervous, but we can do it, definitely. Yeah, 3-2, I reckon, to City.
I don't know if I can take it.
Sorry, I know.
Well, as long as we win, as long as we win. As long as we win.
Yeah, definitely. I want another trip to Paris.
I've never been to Paris. I'd like to go.
Exactly, yeah. Should be good, yeah. We'll be fine, we'll be fine.
Right, Will, first of all, before we start, show us your shirt. Give us a spin. There we go.
It's that fat in 1999 that it still fit me.
Is this an original?
It is an original, it's not mine. I had this shirt, but I had to rebuy it, Dickie. Yeah, because this probably would have fit you in 1999.
That would be like a dress on me, mate. That would be way down here.
These are the glory years.
Absolutely.
This was Royal, wasn't it?
Yeah. Joe Royal.
Last year of Joe before Keegan. You remember this one, Nat.
You know.
City win the Prem, City win the Champions League, Chelsea win the FA Cup. Liverpool fans. Do you know what? There's a real little bit of beef building with Liverpool fans. It was never there before. Now I'm a bit like.
So maybe not as open as the last game, but a Manchester City win and a little bit of a tighter affair from our fans over in Madrid. Thank you to Natalie and thank you to Paul for getting all of that, and I hope you've enjoyed a lovely time. They are in the Bernabeu, they are ready to go. Not long before we hand over to Alistair Mann and Michael Brown, who'll have commentary on the Manchester City app. So, gents, final words and thoughts from you both on the game and then predictions. Nedum, how are you feeling now? We're less than 8 minutes away.
I'm as nervous as you.
Okay, great. You've got such a cool, calm, composed...
I'm dying inside, honestly. But it's one of those ones where you know how good City are. You know, they're in a good moment and they can do this. It's going to be tough. But I think if they play anywhere near the best, I think they'll win. But I think the psychology of it all, like I was speaking to Trevor off there before, like say if you think City will win 2-1 today, don't cry your eyes out if they're 1 down, because it can still finish 2-1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The end result is the most important thing, and just believe in the team, because for the last few years they've shown that they're definitely worth believing in. And these moments here, they're very, very big, but City arrive at this point as the people who were in the final last year.
Yeah.
So this isn't going to be something that's going to make them feel like this is an impossible task. Because you just look around the players that they have and the people on the bench and they know they can make a big difference.
And the last 16 as well, when we did win 2-1, don't forget, everyone at home, we did go 1-0 down, and then it was Kevin De Bruyne and Jesus that came back and won 2-1. So listen, don't hit panic stations, all right? I'll ask you one quick question from WhatsApp, Trev, which is from Lloyd, and says, how well do you think City will avoid the last leg defensive mistakes and capitalise on Real Madrid's?
Brilliant basics. Just concentration, focus. Make sure you do the simple things really well. And I think when you look at the goals that we conceded, the simple things weren't executed well, and that's where we come unstuck. So do the simple things really well, especially as a defender. That's your bread and butter. You know, if you're going to head the ball, concentrate on getting that contact right. You know, if you're going to tackle, make sure you don't dive in, stay on your feet. If you can't make a challenge, delay. Let your teammates get around you and just slow it all down. Be in a good shape, and then when you see that longer pass, you can go and press. I'd like to see us start well, on the front foot. You know, getting engaged, not standing off and letting them feel comfortable in the Bernabeu. Get engaged, get on them, press like we did at the Etihad. And I think if we do that, we could score an early goal, and it could be a more comfortable night than what we think.
Buzzing. Gents, well, final words from you both. Our quick predictions. The Bernabeu is full. The Manchester City fans, I know, will be in full voice, just as the Madrid fans will be. Nedum, what's your prediction? How can you see it playing out?
I'm going to say 2-1 to City. I'm confident that they can win the tie.
Love that. Trev?
I'm going to say 3-0.
3-0 City.
Yeah, I think we can dominate them. I really do.
I love that. I needed that.
He's celebrating like he's just
scores. 3-0. Have that one. Why not 4? Why not 5? I can walk around anyway. All right, I'll sit down. It's been an absolute pleasure, gentlemen, and thank you so much to you all for joining us. The stage is set. Only 90 minutes football, and a win or a draw separates us from a second consecutive Champions League final in Paris. So come join us at half-time, and we'll be back at full-time as well, hopefully talking about us progressing there. But now let's hand over to Alistair Mann, who's got commentary on the City app. Come on, City.
Well, thank you, Cal. Looking great in the new studio with Trevor and Nedum, and we'll be back with them, of course, at half-time for their thoughts. So, how are the nerves, City fans? Hopefully, you are as excited as you are anxious. Nights don't come much more special than this. Well, of course, they will do, all being well, in a few weeks' time in Paris. A Champions League semi-final second leg at the iconic